In today's video, we're flying on Ryanair at low prices over to Ireland's capital, Dublin. We visit Dublin's best known tourist trap, the Guinness Factory, venture down the most Instagrammable pub road, and visit the less well known but beautiful Botanical Gardens. Hi, so we lift off and travel back at Birmingham Airport today instead of travelling to Dublin with Ryanair, and I'm joined by Brent.
Hi guys.
Flights from Birmingham to Dublin are usually notoriously low, so we booked this 4 days ago for the handsome price of £32 per person. With Ryanair, nice. Today's journey will take approximately 1 hour and 5 minutes from the land of Brum to the country of the leprechauns, with a distance of a modest 191 miles. You'd think it being 7 in the morning I'd be really tired, but it's going to hit us big later.
I agree, I'm tired now.
And as the sudden wave of tiredness approached, we've stayed awake by walking the length of the airport and plane watching out the window. Sadly, it's too early to see an A380. Boarding with Ryanair at Birmingham can be a mixed experience, with those paying more for a bag given priority to then queue inside the gate, when the plane sometimes isn't even there. We opted to be the last people on the plane. We had our seats, and we didn't want to be in the well-organised chaos.
Ryanair flight FR661 to Dublin will now commence boarding with everybody.
After clearing the gate, the plane had only been on the ground for 5 minutes, and passengers were still getting off. While we had only been made to wait for a minute, I knew that some people further ahead in the queue had probably been staring at a windowless wall down the stairs for over 20 minutes. This is exciting. Time to board the flight. Birmingham is home to a lot of low-cost carriers, and while they have a reasonable amount of jet bridges, airlines including Ryanair opt for the stairs, which must reduce their fees to the airport considerably. We loved walking onto the tarmac, but others I'd imagine would find the additional walking steps frustrating. It did give us some beautiful views though of this Ryanair Boeing 737-800. During this interlude, what a stylish and reasonably priced bag Brent has. We wanted to see what happened if Ryanair selected random seats for us, which also saved us £8 each. Oddly, Brent ended up towards the back of the plane and me at the front, both in middle seats. The seats are configured in a 3-3 layout. Just make sure you avoid row 11 because it has no window. Not so good for the person on my left, but I found the legroom really decent, even if the back of the seat is a little bit plasticky. Pet hate though, no seat back pocket. On the plus side though, if you look above, despite the old design that is akin to the Boeing 747, there are lights and air nozzles, rejoice. The tray table was a little on the small side, and having seen the wet stain, decided not to touch it again. The person on my left had gone to sleep, so I managed to capture the takeoff. Credit due, the plane was pretty quiet and the rest of the flight uneventful. Have you been on Ryanair before? What did you think? Is it as bad as people say? We found them to be pretty reliable, on time, and the crew seemed nice and friendly. Oh, by the way, here's seat 11. Oh, we'll make that 12 as well. On the return journey, there was a medical emergency, and we were so impressed by the crew we wrote in. More on that one later. Somehow, Brent managed to get off the plane before me, and I only realised this when I asked someone towards the back what row they'd been in, which was further into the middle. So Brent, how was the flight?
As good as a Ryanair flight can get.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I didn't get a window, but I did get a few shots because the guy next to me was asleep.
It's only like 40-50 minutes from Brum, so
Exactly.
yeah, can't complain.
Ironically, the most modern part of the airport is also the furthest, and nicknamed the low-cost carrier wing. It takes about 10 minutes to walk to immigration and the exit. When we finally made freedom, we decided to opt for the 782 coach to Dublin City, which is €14 for a return ticket per journey per person. The coaches are shiny and modern, and the seats are really comfortable. How'd you rate the bus to the city?
Pleasant.
That was modern. The journey to the city takes approximately 25 minutes and runs every 15 minutes. The coach appears from the right hand side, coming down the side of the river before crossing to the south side, passing attractions like the Halfpenny Bridge. And on the north side you'll find the O'Connell Monument and the shopping mall. To get back to the airport you'll need the road on the north side as it loops around the river in the city centre before returning to the airport. This is a bit of an odd first stop, but many of the supermarkets here have delicious sandwiches, and proud supporter of Pride Circle K, here we come. We aren't overly hungry yet, so we're crossing the bridge to the north side to go see the O'Connell Monument. The O'Connell statue, and basically was like the liberator of Ireland, I think. Something to do with the Catholics. He rescued the Catholics.
more on the voiceover.
which pay tribute to a political leader who was an acknowledged leader of the majority of the Roman Catholics in the beginning of the 19th century. It has withstood the test of time, even being shot at by machine gun fire in 1916 because of British oppression. Dublin also has a very extensive tram network, delivering a frequency of up to 10 minutes, or less depending on the time of day. Just 1 minute's walk to the north of the monument is the General Post Office, which has these incredible columns and a very high and grand interior. It's worth a walk through. If you like your retail high-end luxury stores, Arnott's department store is just around the corner, and is actually one of British brands John Lewis's international stores. Coming up in part 2, Brent has a twist on food with the Irish breakfast. We check out the food delights in the Asian district from as far as the Philippines, and we listen to vocals singing at one of Dublin's most Instagrammable pubs. Just along the same street as Arnott's department store is Anne's Bakery, and this is possibly the best place to either grab a beautiful bakery item
We found ourselves in a bakery. Looks absolutely delicious.
or have a full Irish breakfast.
Party Anne's.
And what is that?
I just got Party Anne's.
Dragging the extra weight of breakfast, we're heading back towards the river to the Asian district, which has some modern, trendy and beautiful cafes and restaurants. There is so much variety, unlike Brent's facial expressions.
If anyone ever says that Brent has like no emotion, that is just a sign of it.
Next to a tiny tram station, we find the Chinese supermarket, which has all kind of exotic and tasty foods. We all seem to end up by the sweets. No more than 30 seconds away, we've discovered a Filipino bakery, which is totally on our bucket list for a country that's so beautiful, the people warm and friendly. Let's take a look. On the recommendation of the store owner, who also has adobo, look it up. We've gone for a purple yam donut.
Was it taste like?
A cinnamon bun, not a cinnamon.
Okay.
This is a really trendy area and it's worth a walk around. But now we're heading back to the waterfront to walk over the Halfpenny Bridge. Looking to the east or left, you can see the tram crossing, and this is where we started our day.
Halfpenny Bridge was basically installed because before that there was only 7 ferries which used to go across the river. It was introduced as like the first toll bridge.
After crossing the Halfpenny Bridge, we're taking this dark looking alley in search of Temple Bar, with live Irish music 24 hours a day, and is said to have the largest whisky collection. Opened in 1840, dispensing hospitality and drink to generations of visitors and locals.
The ducks saw a train set the night on fire.
A bit like in Westport, you have these local pubs and they become famous because people obviously drink there and it becomes like a culture. And you also get live music. What happens is one person will like sit down and start playing like a good violin or something. Another person will come in and before you know it, you've got like a group of people playing all together.
It's not even lunchtime yet, so at 11:30 we're heading west to visit the gardens of the Christchurch Cathedral.
So this is Christchurch Cathedral and it's been welcoming Vikings originally and now pilgrims for over 1,000 years.
Was it something I said? At least Brent is listening to me. Oh, if you don't fancy going inside the cathedral, you can admire the gardens and the architecture. Having booked tickets the moment we go off the plane, we're heading up the hill now to the Guinness Factory. We won't dwell on this because locals refer to it as a tourist trap. Costing €26 for entry, there are plenty of other wonderful things to do in Dublin if you don't fancy it. The storehouse, as it's referred to, opened in 1904 and was refurbished in 2000. The storehouse, as it's well known, is fun and has some beautiful architecture for those who don't drink or can't stand the taste. It can only be described as you'll love it or pass it to someone else who does. There's a few photo opportunities, the history in a tasty room, which is a fun 5-minute excursion to see whether you love it or loathe the taste of Guinness. For those who don't drink, there's a smelling session, and this poor lady had probably made the same speech about 100 times today, and now has to watch us drink, except for Brent, who doesn't like it. After looking at the cute horsies and wondering if Molly's missing us on our day trip, we walk down the road into part 3, where we briefly check out Dublin Castle before deciding instead to check out the local art, before making a really long walk to the Botanical Gardens, taking in sustenance from an apple pie at the local conglomerate.
So Brent, obviously we've been here for a few hours now. I've been to Dublin before, so I'm a little bit biased, but what do you think?
What do I think? It's a nice city, very small, so it's quite walkable. It's nice to do in a day. I like Dublin, it's good.
Having extensively walked around the storehouse, we made it as far as this very pretty bridge, which takes you over to the castle. before taking a stroll around the area to see more pubs and the local art. We have about 3 hours left before we need to start heading to the airport, so we're taking a 45-minute stroll towards the National Botanical Gardens to the north. It's a long walk, so we're stopping briefly at Burger King to try an English favourite, the apple pie with ice cream. I'm really tired from all the talking and a giant sandwich recommended by a lovely Irish lady, so Brent can introduce the next part.
Hi guys. Welcome to the National Botanical Garden of Dublin.
Third time's the charm. The Botanical Gardens have a coffee shop, wonderful walks, trees and a variety of plants. And as this is July, the flowers are all blooming and incredibly beautiful. The best part is, it's totally free to enter.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I don't have any plant facts. I'm just reading signs, and he doesn't know anything either. I do the garden. Confess, sinner.
I cut the grass.
And sadly, it's time for the conclusion, except for the chaos that was the Ryanair flight. So guys, thank you for watching. We've had a brilliant time here at the Botanical Gardens. We're not quite done yet.
they were grapes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
maybe some wine on the way home.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to head back to the city now because we're going to.
I think they're plums. They're fizzy plums.
We'll ask an expert.
An apple.
But yeah, we need to head back to the city because otherwise we're going to miss the coach back to the airport. Bye guys. So firstly, thank you for sticking around to the end. Our flight was delayed by 2 hours with a series of really poor information and often confusing gate numbers. When we finally took off, I could see a young lad about 15 rows in front who kept turning around. Unusual, but didn't think anything of it. Brent gestured at me that the seats next to him were free after takeoff, and I walked down. I was suddenly aware that the young lad had frantically been trying to get the attention of the cabin crew because the man next to him had passed out during the takeoff and his eyes had rolled back. Both me and Brent were both incredibly impressed with the response of the cabin crew member who volunteered without question to sit next to and comfort the man who was clearly having the worst time of his life. It turned out that he was on the first leg of a journey back to the Middle East. God knows how he was going to get on the Emirates flight tomorrow of 6 hours if he couldn't handle the flight from Dublin. We just finished by saying, we hope you've enjoyed our city tour and we look forward to making plenty more. Thank you so much for watching.